The following program is a work of broadcast students from the British Columbia Institute of Technology. BCIT magazine features news stories from around the Lower Mainland over the past week. Responsibility for the content of the show rests completely with the students and their BCIT instructors.
Today on BCIT magazine, BC teachers still not seen eye to eye with the government. Parents and students demonstrate alongside striking teachers. And a proposed high-rise is causing a stir in Vancouver's Mount Pleasant. Good afternoon and welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Kaicea. BC's teachers have escalated their job action in a drawn-out labour dispute. They walked off the job for 3 days this week in an effort to drive their message home to the provincial government. Rafferty Baker has the details.
BC Teachers Federation President Susan Lambert shows her support for striking teachers outside Kitsilano Secondary School. She says she's unimpressed with the Liberal government's attempts to force an agreement on teachers without fair negotiations.
It's a very stacked deck. It's not a fair or level playing field. And so, no, I don't think the government is acting in good faith. I don't think the government respects teachers and is certainly not trying to get a deal at the table.
Education Minister George Abbott introduced Bill 22 to the legislature. It would suspend teachers' right to strike during a prescribed mediation period, extend the previous agreement until a new one can be reached, impose a mediator appointed by the minister, and ensure that total costs of the new agreement do not exceed the previous one.
The net zero mandate that they have defined for us at the table is everything. They are not able to move on a single thing.
Across the country, those kinds of limits are being imposed in bargaining in the public sector. There's zeros or modest increases.
Teachers want more control over things like class size and composition, but they've also asked for a 15% bump in salaries over 3 years. Lambert says 3% per year is just to cover inflation, and that another 3% is just to keep up with other provinces.
I think they were just putting the 15% out there as a starting point. There hasn't been an agreement signed in this province, in the public sector, in a decade or more that came anywhere close to 15%. Or even 10%.
Well, the 15% is negotiable, first off. That's our very first stab at the salary figure. It's an objective. As I've said, every single objective is negotiable.
Minister Abbott was not available for an interview, but in a released statement he says, "It's unfortunate that rhetoric and name-calling has overtaken a thoughtful and constructive approach to resolving the impasse through mediation." Rafferty Baker in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
And Rafferty joins us now from Mosscrop Secondary School. Rafferty, the government seems unwilling to budge on their net zero position, but do they have any wiggle room?
Well, Kaicea, the government did declare that their new budget last month is suited for austere times. They say there's a $2.5 billion deficit, and they're trying to eliminate that by late next year. So they certainly are trying to make some hard cuts. However, Susan Lambert says they have a $300 million contingency fund this year and almost as much the following 2 years. So the teachers down here say that should be more than enough to give them what they're asking for. Kaicea?
Thanks, Rafferty. Sticking with the teachers' dispute, some parents and students have been standing with the teachers during the strike.
So as parents and community members, we're here today in solidarity with the teachers taking a stand to protect public education.
Large-scale demonstrations during the teachers' strike have brought together students and parents who have been affected. A larger demonstration was held at Lord Strathcona School, where elementary school students braved the wind and held signs to support their teachers. Students have noticed the classroom issues teachers are mentioning to the government.
Sometimes there's not enough help for the people who need more help with disabilities. So, the teacher has to do too much.
Teachers handed out flyers outlining many issues concerning themselves. Worried parent Angela Ellis believes that teachers could help more students of all learning levels succeed more often if classrooms were smaller.
Even though, the the teacher already has that challenge of making sure getting kids up to grade level or in challenging the students that are above them. So class size is just a huge one. It just affects it on so many different levels.
So no matter what issue concerns them, it is clear teachers and the community are coming together during the teacher strike. Kaicea Pitts in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
A battle is brewing over a potential new high-rise in Vancouver's Mount Pleasant community. Rafferty Baker has the story.
Chris Voland from Rise Property Development pores over plans for a new high-rise in the heart of Vancouver's Mount Pleasant. The proposed development is taking a lot of heat, and hundreds of neighbors have lined up at city council meetings to have their say. Some, especially local businesses, support the tower. But Voland has had to defend the plan from those who pan the project's height and those who fear its economic effects on the community.
Within Metro Vancouver, we're not meeting the supply demand. So part of, and it certainly supply is not the only solution to affordability, but without supply, you don't have a solution to affordability, and we're currently undersupplying the market.
Sean Antrim is among the project's critics.
Mount Pleasant is one of Vancouver's last remaining affordable neighborhoods. And they're starting to build luxury condos in it. And we're already seeing the results of what happens when you build luxury condos in a low-income neighborhood. It becomes unaffordable. So
It's change and it's opportunity for people, and sometimes they're new people from the community, and sometimes they're the people who are already living here, and it may be the first-time home buyers. That is change. Some define it as gentrification, but it's change, and it's what happens in a growing city.
I want to see this site developed. The question is, at this stage, what the developers are asking for is completely unreasonable, and it's going to have negative effects. I'm going to be pushed out of this neighborhood.
I don't believe the development on this site displaces anybody. It, in my view, provides opportunity only for, again, 241 homeowners to live in this neighborhood.
And so the debate rages on. City Council picks up the public hearings later this month. You can sign up to speak for or against the community plan and development by emailing publichearing@vancouver.ca. Rafferty Baker in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
Hi, I'm Braden Oates, and this is your community calendar. Starting March 19th, the Half Marathon for beginners start their training for the Scotiabank Half Marathon, happening June 24th. The Canadian Liver Foundation is looking for runners of all ages and fitness levels to participate. Do you enjoy a good book as well as a good laugh? If so, Say What, Readings of the Deliciously Rotten is for you. At Say What, a variety of performers put their comedic spin on the most embarrassing and painfully honest writings in print. Tickets are available at the door. The results of Nature Vancouver's annual photo competition will be announced March 22nd. There will be several winners from many different categories, including birds, botany, mammals, entomology, and natural history. Visit www.naturevancouver.ca to submit your own photo.
Coming up after the break, alleged robocalling during the last federal election has protesters voicing their outrage. Drivers are asked to be cautious on the road after the clocks changed this spring, and an appraisal event shows people the value of their family heirlooms.
Hungry! Eat the rich! Hungry! Eat the rich! Hungry! Eat the rich! Let's slow the money down! Let's slow the money down! Get a piece of it for ourselves! Get a piece of it for ourselves!
Economies, corporations, markets, and currency. These are not forces of nature. We invented them.
We will take our money out of the bank, close our accounts, and move our money into credit unions.
Take it easy. Take it easy. But take it.
These tents need to go now.
We lost him.
Welcome back. Pressure is building on Elections Canada and the federal government in the wake of a robocall scandal that allegedly took place during last year's election. In Vancouver at Victory Square, protesters gathered to call for action. Martin McMahon has more.
Recall!
weekend, protesters gathered at the Vancouver Art Gallery to speak out against what they say is a case of democracy turned upside down. They marched down Georgia Street, bringing traffic to a standstill, eventually arriving at Victory Square.
Today we were protesting this ongoing scandal that's really enveloping Canada, which is this robocall election fraud. And so today Elections Canada has confirmed that they've received already 31,000 complaints to do with automated messages or sometimes live calls telling them to go to a bogus polling station. So, you know, that's a real act of voter suppression. That's true voter frauds.
It looks very much like someone conspired in a very large way to rig the latest Canadian election by disenfranchising voters.
It's voter suppression. You can't undermine democracy any more than that. It's absolutely ridiculous, and as someone who totally believes in our values and our morals as Canadians, like, this does not represent the people, and we've got to stand up and we've got to do something about it.
I mean, clean elections are something that we have come to expect in Canada, and it's so shocking and outrageous to find that we've blown it.
A federal government official wasn't available for comment on Tuesday, but judging from this weekend's protest, outrage over the so-called robocall scandal isn't going away anytime soon. Martin McMahon in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
It's that time of year again where all clocks need to spring forward, meaning people will lose an hour of sleep. And as I discovered, a change in the clocks creates more hazards on the road.
Traffic is calm for now, but next week after daylight savings time, there could be many accidents on the road. BCAA Road Safety President Alan Lamb says crashes increased up to 30% after daylight savings. However, driving tired is becoming a year-round problem.
Driver fatigue is an increasing problem. Just like distracted driving is causing 40% of our serious injury death crashes, driver fatigue is now coming up as being a major contributing factor to traffic crashes. The first thing that we would like to remind people is to please make sure that you're totally focused in front of you. The second thing that we'd like to remind people is that it's always wise to keep as much distance as possible between yourself and the vehicle in front of you. So because we now know that there'll be a spike in crashes for a few days after the time change, and just back off from the vehicle in front of you a little bit more to give yourself that extra split second to make a decision should you have to in traffic conditions.
BCIT students say they will prepare for the time change before they get in their car.
I would probably do some morning exercises.
To get more sleep, I'll go to bed an hour earlier and yeah, just eat well and just stay healthy in general.
What I would suggest is you can just plan ahead and just maybe, take 1 hour more sleep.
So whether someone is heading out or going home, drivers are encouraged to prepare early for next week's commute. Casey Pitts in Burnaby for BCIT Magazine.
A local appraiser is helping people determine the value of their knickknacks and old family heirlooms. Martin McMahon has more.
Yeah, this double mountain, it could well be, I guess it's Fukagawa. This is lovely. There we go, that's what I'm looking for.
If you've got an old family heirloom you've always wanted to learn more about, or if you picked up a piece of junk at a lawn sale you think is a hidden gem, appraiser Peter Blundell is your man.
I think this is meant for Sunday schools.
It's one of
I
the
couldn't put a
pieces,
big Lalique price on it, but I certainly think it's worth about, I would think probably around about 125 to 200.
Blundell has written several books on antiques, and yes, he's been doing this sort of thing for a while.
When I was 10, I bought a print that I still own today, and it was next to nothing. It was like cents. But my mother was furious at me for buying this silly thing, and that's really the start of things. And I love digging in for the stories, and this is really what it's all about.
From my grandmother's sister to my grandmother on her wedding.
That is lovely.
I'd seen them for 10 years and I loved them, but I just never bought one. And finally, I went in and got it. And as he was wrapping it, I assumed it was 19th century.
Blundell's most recent stop was at the University Women's Club of Vancouver, and organizers are hoping to plan another appraisal event soon. Martin McMahon in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
If you have any questions or comments regarding this program, please visit us online at bcitbroadcastnews.ca or bcit-broadcast.com. I'm Casey Pitts, and that's today's BCIT Magazine. Thanks for watching. We leave you now with a view of beautiful Vancouver.